Host, Ciaara Hoffman, and today we have our guest, Jessica Buck with TJR Investments LLC. So Jessica, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Ciara, for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Now, to start us off, I always like to go and learn more about your story. So tell us about how you got into commercial real estate and what is it that you do?
So I am active duty military, and I started commercial real estate early 2021. After starting out with single family homes, I purchased in 2014 my first single family home in Clarksville, Tennessee, and then scaled. Well, then I moved to Fort Gordon, Georgia, and I purchased another single family home there as well. And then in early 2021, I just realized like I'm gonna get ready to retire pretty soon. And so I wanted to have some passive income and just prepare for the future. And so I started looking into, buying some like 2 to 4 families with my VA loan. And then I just realized like I am not going to be able to, I'm going to run out of money pretty soon. Right. And so I was like, wanted to buy some undervalue or, some value add properties that I could, renovate and kind of do like the BRRRR method. But soon after evaluating some of these properties, I realized like, I'm not going to, even with bank loans and, hard money lenders and things like that, eventually I'm going to run out of money. And so I was like looking into a way that I could scale faster and not necessarily use my own money all the time. And so that's when I learned about syndications, and I joined a mastermind in March of 2021 where I met like some amazing people. And that's how my journey got started.
Amazing. All right. So you started off obviously in the single family that was, got 1, 2 properties there, and then kind of got to the point where you're like, well, this is a little bit slow, right? I need to get something that's going to be a lot faster. So then how did you get into, tell us about your first multifamily deals?
Yes, exactly. So I was like, well, this is going to take a while to be able to get a lot of passive income. And so once I joined the mastermind and met like some amazing people that were really, ahead of me in my journey, I was able to learn a lot from them. And in August of 2021, I invested as a limited partner just so I could learn the process and be able to kind of help other investors once I started becoming a general partner. And so I wanted to really speak from experience and be able to help them from a position of experience and to know, so that I knew kind of the questions that they wanted answered and be able to answer those and make them feel comfortable about this opportunity of investing in multifamilies, and just be able to teach them from like a position that I have been through myself. And so that was a 19 unit in Scranton, Pennsylvania, which I'm the limited partner on that property, which we still own. It's only been a couple years. And then honestly, just recently, we are closing next week on my first general partnership. It took me a little bit longer. It's 142 units. But I truly believe in, sometimes like I get discouraged sometimes because a lot of people scale a lot faster, but this was like the perfect time for me. I capital raised on this deal. And this was just the perfect time for me to get into this. And I met the partners that I'm in this deal with about 7 or 8 months ago. And it just takes time to like build those relationships and network, and be able to, create those partnerships. So this was just the perfect time. And I just got into this deal. We're closing on this deal next week.
Awesome. Yeah. And, I feel like a lot of people, when they get into multifamily, they're like, I'm going to get my first deal within 90 days or, or even 6 months. Like sometimes it does take a lot longer. And I don't think that, we should be hard on ourselves wherever you are in your real estate journey. You want to be realistic and you don't want to get disheartened. I think that's easy to get disheartened. So
It's so
I
easy.
think getting your
Exactly.
first deal
And
within
with
the
social
first
media and
year
everybody
is a
like
great
closing, like I was
accomplishment.
so
A lot of
happy for
people
everybody,
that we
always
don't
looking at
realize they
other
actually give up
people
before
that
they
are
even get to
closing
their
on
first
deals.
deal,
And exactly.
right?
Yeah. I was just like, it's kind of having that like FOMO, like I'm like, I mean, of course I was happy for all these people. Most of them I knew, on social media, like closing deals, and they're doing these awesome things and they're raising, millions of dollars and stuff. And I was like, that's awesome, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I want to do that. So yeah, I think, and honestly, I really have to like weekly and maybe sometimes even daily, depending on the week, I really have to just say like, this is my journey. This is, I'm doing things in my time and, the time that like I'm okay with, that it's right for me. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And this like is a true testament to that, is that this was like the perfect time, although it's around the holidays and capital raising right now is not very easy. It was the perfect time with the perfect partners. They're super motivating, they're very supportive. It's just been an
Hmm.
amazing team. And I couldn't honestly have asked for a better team to close this first deal on. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
Amazing. Now, one thing that you mentioned as well was that you started off as a passive investor, which I think is very smart. I think if you want to get into a deal quickly and you have the funds, it's good to start off passively, right? Just so you can kind of learn the ropes a little bit, kind of get a little inside peek into what happens, like once you actually close on a deal, and learn how the operators, do their thing so that you can kind of learn from that. And when you're a GP, then you have something to go off of. Right.
Yes,
So I think that's
exactly.
something that a lot of people, should definitely consider if they have the funds to invest when they're starting off their multifamily journey, is to start off as a passive investor.
Right. And when I first started my multifamily journey, I was like saving my capital for a deal that I wanted to be in, and my partners as well. Like we had talked about it several times and we're like, we want to close on these deals. We're looking in, like a couple of different markets. And we were just like, we have this amount of money that we want to, we don't want to invest in other people's deals at first. Right. And so but when one of our coaches in our mastermind was like, you know, he kind of changed our whole like trajectory, like whole, vision on that, and was just like, you should invest. Basically what he said is like, find the deals and the capital will come. Like you don't necessarily
Mm-hmm.
need to be investing in your deals that you're a GP on. Like you can
Mm-hmm.
raise that money. And if you have the capital, sure. But basically what he said was just like, do the work, find the deals, create the relationships, network,
Mm-hmm.
and the capital will come. Like, don't hold off on on the capital you could be investing, whereas sitting in the
Right.
bank, invest that money into deals, and then you can learn for that. And it's exactly what I have done. I've sat on like asset management calls with this as the LP.
Mm-hmm.
The GPs on this deal have been super open to whatever like involvement I wanted to be on this deal. And they understood like I wanted to be a GP at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were willing, again, one of the best like
Mm-hmm.
LP investments. It's a great GP team.
Mm-hmm.
They've operated this property extremely well. It's doing it's profiting very well. And so yeah, I was just like, at first I was like that. I was like, no, I'm going to save my capital. I want to invest in deals. But this was one of the best opportunities, and it also opened up other opportunities for me as
Mm-hmm.
well once I invested in that. And I learned a lot from being a limited partner, and been able to really share my
Mm-hmm.
experience with other limited partners, especially when I'm talking and trying to capital raise. I can
Yeah.
speak from experience, and that's been super helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a really good way to kind of get, into a good relationship or partnership with the GP team. And, especially if you find a GP team like that who's willing to basically open the door for you as far as, having you on those asset management calls. I think that's huge, because that's really where you're going to learn a lot. Everyone's so excited to get into their first deal, but a lot of people don't think about, okay, once the deal closes, then what happens, right? There's so many
Mhm.
more moving parts at that point.
That's when the real work
Mhm.
starts, is when the
Yeah.
deal closes. Like it's hard to raise capital sometimes, and but when you have to really perform for your investors. So So that's actually when, the real work starts, I think.
Exactly. I know. Now, obviously, this is a relationship business, and we couldn't get to where we want to be without building these relationships. So, can you speak into, how were you able to get into these kind of relationships that got you into your first and second deals in multifamily?
So I would say the first deal was the mastermind that I joined in March of 2021. It was the beginning of my multifamily journey, and I've created such amazing relationships from there. I'm still like so close. Honestly, today I have a meeting with two of the people in my first mastermind. We're getting on a Zoom call today. So I think it's just joining, masterminds, being able to network with people. I joined another mastermind because of the networking that I was, because of the benefits that I was getting from the networking. I joined another one in November of 2022. No, 2021, sorry. And that has also been amazing. And honestly, I think you get education in the masterminds too, but the networking is really where it's at. And building a team and just networking and really getting to know people, like going to events, like showing up, getting in the room with these people, these, high value people that know a lot more than you, has been so beneficial for me. It's where I've learned almost everything. It's, it's resources that it's available for you to can call. Almost any situation that I've been in, or I can even imagine being in, I know like somebody that's dealt with it before, or that would help me through it. You know what I mean? That either could talk through it with me. So networking is just key. I know everybody says that, but it's true. Like you can't do this alone. It's definitely a team sport. And networking is just awesome. I even in August of 2021 started my own meetup in the DMV area called Cocktails and Connections. And for that, very reason, to kind of just get in the room, to get people together. It's been awesome. The first one I had was about 10 people, and then it's grown to about 50 or 60 people now. I do it quarterly. And so, yeah, it's been amazing. At just, providing that education and the knowledge and experience to people is just awesome. It's why I do it, really. It's the passion for like educating people. Well, of course, the passive income, but also just wanting to be able to, share experiences and knowledge and just tell people like, I know in the military, a lot of times people say like, don't purchase until you retire, right? Because they're like, you have to sell it or you have to, but they don't realize like there's so many other options. You can rent it. And I know like a lot of people don't want to be landlords, and sometimes dealing with, tenants is a lot, but I think the benefits that you get from it is worth the work that you put into it for sure. You know what I mean? Like once you can, either refinance that property or sell it or, make some significant capital on that, like that's worth any kind of, honestly, even if I had like a squatter or something, like it's frustrating, but that's your property. It's a tangible asset that you own, and like nobody can take that away from you. You know what I mean? And it's worth it for sure.
Absolutely. And first of all, thank you for your service. We really appreciate everything that you do for our country. And it's amazing that you've been able to grow this portfolio while, being active duty and being moved around to different places. So tell us about the challenges that you've had, just moving and being able to grow your real estate portfolio while being on active duty.
So I think that there has been some challenges, but I think that the fact that I move around so much has been a benefit. You know what I mean? Like the fact that I am able to live in different areas and like get to know the different markets, because like kind of forcing myself into it, like, having to get, like it's not a place that I would probably choose to live a lot of the places. But you can get to know those markets and the surrounding, the tertiary markets around those markets, and, understanding the growth. Like when I lived at Fort Gordon, we had a whole, unit moved down from the DC area to Fort Gordon, which increased the population down there by like 5,000. So like most people don't know that unless you're, in the military or you study the market, which, you have to do obviously to invest in, multifamily properties. But I mean, a lot of times like that's not information that's just available to the general public, so I think that's been helpful for sure, is just kind of knowing. I really like investing in military towns. I
Mm-hmm.
honestly right now don't own any properties in the military, around there, but I love like the Fayetteville market because like, Fort Bragg is never going to go anywhere. It's one of the biggest installations. And so I think, those areas and just moving around have been very beneficial. Plus, like if I didn't move around for the military, I wouldn't have ever purchased, in those several different areas. And the reason why I first started was because I purchased in Clarksville and then, then I deployed, and then I had to PCS. And so at that time I was kind of forced into renting the property because I couldn't sell. I would have been upside down. And that's when I realized, renting, as long as you, which I know that these are few and far between today, but property managers, if you get a great property manager, really just do your due diligence and find a good property manager, which I had. I mean, we had some issues, but overall they were okay. And if you just really stay involved in, keep your property maintenance wise and things like that up to, and I think the other biggest thing is to make sure that you have some reserves for maintenance issues and things like that. And that's just as any, property, even, your primary residence that you own. You just make sure that you have some reserves that you can't, if something serious happens, you have some money to be able to put into that. Because I mean, it's inevitable that you're going to have to maintain your home, whether it's a rental or, the property that you own.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, being in the military has definitely been a benefit for me because of this. And I can also, utilize my VA loan, which is zero down, and it's been awesome. And as long as you live in it for a year. So that's what really helped me with, purchasing my primary residences and then renting them out and being able to scale that way. The one thing I do regret is not like house hacking and purchasing, like a duplex or a triplex or something like that. I wish that I had known more about that when I was purchasing, and I would have definitely done that. So I encourage any military that can use their VA loan, like purchase a small multifamily, like a duplex, a triplex, up to 4 units with your VA loan. And you can really cash flow those nicely depending on where you are.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge advantage. Anyone that, is in the military or can use their VA loan benefits, get in with zero down and then have 3 other, if you're in a fourplex, you have 3 other people paying your mortgage. So it's kind of like you get in for free and you're cash flowing day one, right? So
exactly.
That would be the way to do it for sure.
Yeah, I really regret that, honestly. I know, like, everything happens for a reason, but I'm like, oh, I should have bought like something, because I'm up in the DC area right now and they don't really have, multifamilies up in this, not smaller multifamilies up in this area. They're not, but I've definitely been some places where they are, there's quite a few of them. And I'm like, dang it, I should have.
Lessons learned. But I think now you're on a bigger path, getting into these, 100+ unit ones. So I think everything, obviously, like you said, everything happens for a reason.
Yes.
So
sure.
Now, how has the military and like what you've learned and the skills you've developed there, the mindset, how has that helped you in the real estate world?
So I think it just gives you some discipline. The military definitely teaches you discipline and to stay consistent throughout, your career. That's what's really helped me. I mean, I haven't necessarily grown as quickly as some other people, but I think the consistency and the discipline to just stay with it has really, really helped. If I had given up a year ago when I hadn't closed, my first like GP deal after working on it for about a year or so, then, I would have never been able to close this deal that we're closing this week.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's it, really, just like consistency, hard work, discipline. And like specifically my job teaches a lot of, I do project management in my job and being able to like manage a multi-million-dollar budget. And so I think like systems and processes have helped me as well. And that's what I've learned. I've taken Lean Six Sigma and things like that, those courses in the military that really teach you some skills for project management, systems, to put systems in place and things like that. And that's why I think that I've been so successful, along with just, like I said before, like networking and building a good team and knowing who to contact and having the resources available to you. But yeah, I would say discipline and hard work and being consistent for sure.
Awesome. Well, there's definitely a lot of discipline required in your job, so that I can definitely appreciate
in
and respect
multifamily
that.
investing as well. You can't do it like you got to. I mean, coming home after working like a 9 to 5, or even just kind of switching. Even if you stay at home, like switching gears, sort of to now focus on things, or just like sometimes I do it in between meetings. I'll be like talking to investors or talking to brokers, and then I'm like, oh, I have a 1:00 meeting for my job or something like that. And so it's like switching back and forth. It can be difficult.
Yeah.
You got to be resilient for sure. And
For
the military
sure.
teaches you resiliency as well. You got to just be able to kind of multitask and manage multiple things at one time. So I think maybe those are two other things.
I love it. Now, so, the thing I like about multifamily is, number one, having these relationships, being able to kind of focus in an area that, maybe that you have a strength in, and the rest of your team can focus on other areas that they're good at, whether it be investor relations, broker relations, capital raising. What is your strength? What is your area of focus, and how does that fit in with the partnerships that you've created?
So my area, so right now I'm capital raising, but that was never something I was interested in doing. Honestly, I think I kind of fell into this position, fell into this role in this deal. It's not that I don't want to continue, because what I really love about capital raising is, talking to investors, presenting opportunities to them that they may not have known, and just being able to present and provide other opportunities to be able to, to create some passive income for them. I think a lot of people think that, especially military, and not to insult military, but I just think that they don't understand. And I focus a lot on, coworkers, military, friends that I've met along the way, and really just want to educate them, because they have such a unique opportunity. And so, so I would say the role that I'm in this one is capital raising and then asset management afterwards. And I think that I'm able to do that, but my true passion, I think, is due diligence, boots on ground, and asset management, and finding the deals.
Yeah.
I really love, we actually are touring 120 unit here in the DMV area on Wednesday. And so that's what I really love. And you going back to, what you said about partnerships and creating new opportunities in the future, the LP position that I have in the Scranton, we actually 2 weeks ago toured another property with that GP team. And just creating, like you said, creating those relationships, it creates other opportunities in the future for you, so other than just getting the experience, you get to know this team, and then potentially be able to partner with them on deals in the future. But I will say what I really enjoy is, the due diligence, the boots on ground, and the asset management. What I do in the military is very much so like project management. And I really like that aspect of multifamilies, and just, making sure that like what we, our business plan, operating the business plan and executing it, is what I really enjoy doing. But capital raising comes along with it. And if you can bring capital to a deal, then you're going to be, people will want you on your team. And so I think that's what's kind of got me in the door on this deal. And in the future, like I probably will capital raise, but so those are, it's a kind of a complex answer, but that's what, this is a complex, environment, right? Like it's not just like a one size fits all thing. You kind of get in when you can and where you can and how you can. And then, kind of go from there and just see how you can, benefit any team and what value that you bring to the team.
Yeah. And I think one thing that people don't realize is pretty much everyone on the GP team has to be involved in the capital raising, right? It doesn't matter if you're asset management or your broker relations. It's like once you have a deal under contract, everyone is just focused on raising capital at that point, right? Because you got to get that deal to the finish line. So
that is true. That is true. I mean, we on this team, we have people that we like, that we brought in not just to capital raise, but to capital raise and then, do some in asset management and continue to, see the business plan through. But all of the GPs, whether they're a KP, whether they're, the deal finder, whether they talk to the broker a million times, they are all capital raising. So 100%, that is accurate.
Yeah. A lot of people,
I mean, you can't close a deal without the money, right? So everybody is invested in this and everybody wants it to close. They've like, even this, on this specific deal, one of the GPs has talked to the seller. He's been working with him for about 6 months, right? So he's like, this deal is closing, right? Like, I don't care what happens. He's like, I've been put a lot of time and effort into this. He's like, so this deal is closing. So he's, of course, raising capital, he's, of course, like doing the work and to get this deal to the finish line. So, I agree.
Yeah.
And that's why, having a great GP team is everything. You have to, be able to work together. You have to, understand, the importance of teamwork and being supportive of each other and hard work and making sure that everybody's on the same team and all want the same goal, which is to close this property and then to, give the investors that we've, sort of promised, like, all of this, this business plan and to execute it and make sure that it's profitable for everyone. Right. And so that's 100% your GP team.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that people don't really realize because they're like, oh, I'm not good at capital raising. I'm just going to leave that to everybody else. But that's not really something you can do. Once you actually get into the deal, you realize, okay, I got to go talk to people. I got to tell people what I'm up to. And I got to ask for, pretty big sums of money. So it's definitely a skill that everyone needs to learn. And it's probably the most highly valued skill, I would say. And as well as a quick way to get into your first deal. If you don't have the money yourself, but you can raise it, you can definitely get into a deal, fairly quickly as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm not great at like social media. I'm not like, I'm on, Facebook and things like that. And I post, of course, but social media is not like a strength of mine. And so I never thought like, and it's so powerful. But I just never thought that I could capital raise. I'm much more of like a one-on-one talking to people person. And that's sort of why I started like the meetup in the DMV. And I go to several networking events in this area as well, because, just getting in the room and talking to people, that's where my strength is. And that's where, and although you can't reach as many people, in person, you can't, meet thousands and thousands of people on a daily basis. It's been effective for me. And it's, I'm not raising multiple millions of dollars, but for this deal, I was able to do my part, and be able to, get this deal to the closing table. So it's,
Yeah.
we'll see what the future brings. Maybe I'll become like this amazing capital raiser. But for now,
Yeah, but I think that people put too much emphasis on the social media and the blasting, but really where you're going to make the most impact is that one-on-one conversation with somebody, because it's going to be a huge amount of trust they've got to have with you to give you $50,000, $100,000, right? It's not going to be because you just posted a social media thing. They're going to have to really trust you and kind of know you on that personal level. So
yeah, for sure. And it takes a while. Like someone's not gonna give you, like you said, $100,000 after talking to them one time or seeing one of your posts. Even on social media, it takes months of people like, watching you and commenting and reaching out and having a conversation and stuff like that. So yeah, but it just, people watch and don't, at least on social media, I've heard like people really watch what you do, and then it takes them a while to kind of reach out and create that, connection.
Absolutely. So where can our listeners find you online if they want to learn more about you and what you do?
I have a website at TJR Investments LLC.com, and online I'm on Facebook. I am actually an admin also in the Real Estate Legacy Lifestyle, which we started. It's about dining, investing, and traveling. And so you can join us there as well. And I'm on Instagram also at TJR Investments LLC. And also my personal is JEB2442 on Instagram. So I'm on all the social media. And email is Jessica Buck at TJRinvestmentsllc.com. So reach out.
Awesome. So I'll include links to your Facebook group, your social media pages, just below this podcast or video. So thanks everybody so much for tuning in. If you all enjoyed today's show, please write us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Every review helps us to be able to reach more and more people that are looking to learn and get more involved in commercial real estate. Today's show was sponsored by Synergy Capital Investments. To download your free multifamily investment guide for beginners or to schedule a call to learn about our upcoming investment projects, go to thrivewithsynergy.com. That's thrivewithsynergy.com or click on the link below.